to the entire session, and also you can raise your comments or queries after the speaker finishes the presentation. We have a exclusive Q&A session for this. So let's welcome on to our speaker. So this session is in collaboration with DailyGurus, and we are pleased to welcome Mr. Gnanashekaran CN, who is the CTO and co-founder of DailyGurus, with over 22 years of experience in IT and program management, and having a formidable impact presence in high impactful projects. He has a deep expertise in strategic planning, quality engineering, life cycle, and program management. Welcome once again, Mr. Gnanashekaran, and the stage is yours.
Hey, thanks, Neelima. I see you mentioned about having a Q&A session later, but I think it'll be okay to have Q&A sessions after each slide. I want this to be more interactive.
Yeah, sure. That's all fine. I think it's for your convenience.
Yeah. I just wanted to gauge how people are reacting or even understanding the slides that we are going through. So do we have enough audience? Can we get started?
Let's get started. They will join in between.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
So, hi, my name is Gnanashekaran Natarajan. You can call me Shekar. Like I said, is the co-founder and CTO of DailyGurus. So I want to walk you all through the implementation of blockchain in our company. And I'd also like to give you a brief overview of how the implementation evolved over the years and what are the challenges we faced and where we are today. Before we go there, I know so many people have joined. Do you have any idea on how agriculture industry is adapting blockchain? Anybody has any insights into it, or do you know of any other company doing it, or have you tried any small piece of work since you're all students in the blockchain community? Anybody here? No takers. Okay. Let me share my screen, and I'm gonna walk you through the business case here. And full disclosure, we're not talking about the technical implementation here of any sorts. We're just talking about how blockchain can be useful in this real world scenarios. Okay, is my screen visible?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So before we start, I hope all of you are, most of you have a basic understanding of what blockchain is and how it can be used in any of the industries for that matter. So what we're gonna cover today is we'll have a quick introduction of usage of blockchain in the agricultural space. And we'll also talk about the blockchain journey of DailyGurus and the real world use case of how we have adopted blockchain for the fresh produce traceability. And we'll also briefly touch upon the challenges and opportunities we have in this agricultural blockchain. And then we'll have some Q&A sessions. Okay, all right. So these are the key issues that we were more closer to. So we are talking about only these. There are like thousands and thousands of issues in agriculture, but we are talking about these few. Um, Take the first one, there is a lack of transparency in the supply chain. When I say there is a lack of transparency, when you're buying your produce from your supermarket or even from any of these cold chains, um, you just trust the brand from where you're actually buying it without knowing where the produce is coming from. And you would have seen so many of these WhatsApp videos where you see how these produce that are like more than 10 days or 20 days old are just dipped into chemical and then it becomes very fresh again. There are many such stories that come up when it comes to fresh produce, and the trust of people on the produce and how they actually consume it in their life is becoming very important, especially after COVID. People have become very aware of what is actually going into their bodies. So it is a very huge problem statement, and I think this market is wide open now, and this is the time for companies to actually establish uh, transparency and traceability into the system. Now, there is another point that we can discuss is the dependence on the middlemen. Um, this statement here, it says dependence on middlemen reduces farmer profitability, right? Now, one might ask, how is the farmer profitability uh, reduced when a middleman is involved, right? I want to give you a use case, a simple user story or a scenario where there are small and marginal farmers around the urban markets who have a very small patch of land, and the kind of harvest they make on a daily basis is of a very small quantity. And for them to transport this quantity from their farms to a nearby market itself will add like at least 20% or 30% of the cost. Now, when middleman comes to this farmer, what they would say is, why don't you just sell your crop to us? And they say that I would buy this at a 50% discount. For the farmer, it's the extra expense of 30% that they don't want to make today, because it is, again, money that is going to be spent today. And on top of that, when they take the produce to the market, they don't know if the market rate is still applicable and if they will be able to recover any money out of it. I just touched the surface of this problem here, but you can dig deeper. There's a lot of issues here, but this is the crux of it. So these middlemen, they take advantage of these farmers. So that's another problem. The third point that I want to highlight here is the post-harvest wastage here due to inefficiency. Now, there are multiple ways to understand this, but just understand a very simple user experience here. The wastage that we are talking about is when the produce is actually moving from one state to another state or from one country to another country. Now, the amount of time this food travels is huge, because with the commercialization of all these farms and the produce that is getting generated from these farmers, they have to travel a huge distance for diversification of their produce, going into the market. Now, when it is traveling, the amount of food that is wasted or that get damaged during the transportation is huge. Usually it is 30%. If you look at this, Niti Aayog did a survey, and they found out that 16% of fruits and vegetables are lost annually in India. This is somewhere around 15,000 or 16,000 crores per year. This is a huge problem which goes unnoticed very often. Now, we have this growing consumer demand for food authenticity. Now, it's almost the same point that we discussed earlier. The consumer wants to know where the food is coming from and how many days past the harvest is this food reaching them. And they also want to understand the freshness of the food they're consuming. So these are all the main problems that we are trying to address. This is a very small subset, but applicable to our business as of today. I'd like to pause here and give an option to anybody here. If you have any questions or if you want to add anything here, maybe you can unmute yourself and talk. Anybody? Or you can post in the chat if you have any questions.
Yeah, there is one question in the chat which says, in open field, how will you use blockchain?
Yeah, we'll come to that point. If you have any question related to these problems here, I hope these problems are clear, right? I hope everybody understood the problems that we are touching here. I'll go to the implementation of what we did, and you will get some more clarity on that, on how it is done. Yeah. Okay. I'll move on to my next slide. Yeah. So now I want to talk about the benefits that blockchain can bring that could address all the problems that we discussed in the last slide. So the first point that I want to highlight is the immutable data. So when a certain action or an event happens in the food or the fresh produce life cycle, for example, it could be the seed sowing, or it could be the harvest, or it could be the application of a pesticide. If such information is captured and stored in the blockchain, it becomes an immutable data that is accessible for everybody, whoever wants to actually check it. And it provides the complete traceability if properly implemented. Yeah. And the transparency, as we say, if the data is published into a blockchain that is public in nature, the data is available for everybody. There is nothing to hide. And if you say a food produce is coming from this particular farm and it was harvested on a particular date and time, then this information is available for everybody to check. And that builds the trust among all the people, whoever is buying or processing or even selling this fresh produce. Now, this fair pricing is a touchy subject here. I spoke about these farmers and how the middlemen actually abuse and take advantage of these farmers. Fair pricing can be established when the information of the produce is on the blockchain and the buyer on the other end looks at the value of this produce on the blockchain. And if the buyer is convinced that whatever he's seeing now is what he's going to get when the product is delivered, the negotiation of the price is directly happening between the buyer and the farmer. Now, this is a strange problem that happens in the fresh produce segment here. Let's say, for example, if you are a buyer and you want to buy fresh produce from the market, and you reach out to the sellers or the middlemen, and all of these people will be very happy and very gladly send you pictures and price of their produce. So when you look at these images, they will be, I would say more than 70 to 80% of them will be from a previous harvest or from previous year. And there is no verification mechanism. Most of the time, this information is shared via WhatsApp. So when a buyer picks one of those produce, and it is not by choice, but it is a sensitive topic, and say whoever is giving the best price and the best quality will get the order. So whichever image is looking good and with a good price, the buyer will place an order. And this order reaches their doorsteps. And at that point, when the buyer, which is 70 to 80% of the time, they realize that this is not what they actually saw in the image that they saw on WhatsApp. That is where they realize that there is no system. And most of the time, they have to trust somebody on the WhatsApp network because they have to buy it. And that is one of the main reason why they try to go with companies that are established and provide some kind of a guarantee. In this whole cycle, there a very temporary layer of middlemen will get created, and that will become a barrier for these farmers to directly interact with the buyer. And finally, we'll talk about the QR code. This is something that we have used in our use case. So what we have done now is we have provided a QR code on our produce. So if a consumer buys a QR product, we have a QR code added on top of the product. When they scan it, they'll get to see the origin of the fresh produce, and they'll also know when it was harvested and who was actually the farmer who actually grew it and stuff like that. Now, this is a study that is done by IBM Food Trust Survey that says 70% of your urban consumers, they are willing to pay a premium for traceable food. So you see it is 70% of the urban consumers, they are willing to pay a premium for traceable food because they understand that whatever is in the supermarket is contaminated in one way or the other, and there is no truth in what is being actually sold to them. It is also a sales and marketing gimmicks that is diluting the the essence of this food ecosystem. So blockchain will solve all of this problem, obviously, when implemented in the right way and presented in the right way to the end consumer. Okay, I'll pause here and again, seek for any questions at this point. Anything about how this thing works or the use case here? Okay.
Hello, sir. Lavanya
Yeah.
here.
Hi, Lavanya. Go ahead,
Uh,
please.
yeah, so you're talking about the fresh produce, but what about the food which is processed? Like we are procuring the materials from farmers and processing it in some way and packaging it in packaging it and selling to the customers. So how the blockchain can be implemented in that way?
Yeah. So this is it's an interesting question, and it is a valid question. So what we are currently working on as a company is we are enhancing our current solution to add the value added MSME companies into this chain here. So the way that works is up until the produce reaches this MSMEs, we treat them as raw material, that is the produce from the farmers, which is already on the blockchain. And when it reaches these MSMEs, you can create batches of this produce and associate the incoming raw material from the farmers directly to those manufacturing batches. And the manufacturing batches will have its own life cycle of how it is processed and how long it is processed and packed and shipped. So all of this can be maintained within one life cycle of that particular product. That way, yeah.
Yep,
Yeah.
sorry. Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, so I hope I answered your question. So basically, we are connecting this raw material from the farmers that is on the blockchain, and we create a life cycle in the value-added MSME companies and connect these raw materials. So the complete information from the blockchain will be carried forward. So they, yeah.
Yeah, I got your point, sir. So I have another question, which may be basic, I guess. But how we can ensure that the data which we are loading into that blocks are the accuracy of the data? How we can ensure that? Is there is any control over that using AI or something like that?
The first thing is the information that we capture, right, through our application. We don't let external images or videos to be uploaded. And the only way information or event can be added to the blockchain will be through the camera that is embedded in our application. So, for example, if you're in the farm, you will need to open our application, open the camera, click a picture. When the picture is clicked, the metadata is captured, which will have the location information, the time, and the image. And then all of this will be uploaded. So this preserves, the origin of the information that is getting uploaded, and there will be no contamination here. Is that what you meant?
Yeah, exactly. Thank you,
Does that
sir.
make sense? Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. I got the answer.
All right. Perfect.
Thank you.
Thanks for the question, Lavanya. Anybody else?
Sir, the produce the agriculture goods, organic or inorganic?
So it depends on the farmers, right? If you're looking at the small and marginal farmers, I would say more than 70% of them will use chemical-based fertilizers. That is your urea and your nitrogen and other things. There are very low number of farmers who are into organic cultivation. But having said that, it doesn't matter what type of farming these farmers are actually following. All of that information can be added as key events into the life cycle and then uploaded to the blockchain. So if you are buying a produce, you can see the life cycle of the produce that would say, okay, they have applied urea, then that becomes that will become a non-chemical free product. There could be a farmer who is following completely natural way of producing things, and that would, get categorized into the organic farming. So,
Thank you, sir.
yeah, answering that. I hope that answered your question. No ambiguity there.
Sir.
Okay.
Hello.
Hi. Good.
So
Please.
how the pricing is done? Then how a customer can validate the best price of a product?
Yeah. See, fresh produce, agricultural produce is always decided mostly by the mandis, right? Wherever you are, the local mandis, they fix the price most of the time. That is something that every farmer or every buyer and seller in one way or the other will tend to use the same price. It is kind of price that is a mandi price that will be published by the government, adopted by the government or even published on the newspaper and on their websites. So the pricing is something that is market driven. There are some cases where if the good amount of support is provided to the farmers, they will be able to do the calculation of how much they exactly spent on the farming process, like how much money was spent on the seeds, the fertilizers, the manpower, and what is the kind of profit they want to make on this particular crop, and they can derive their own pricing there. If it is a price lock guarantee system, let's say, for example, you run a Horeca, for example, you run a cafe or a restaurant, and you have a menu that is fixed. And for example, you know that your tomatoes should be 100 rupees for you to sell your curries at a specific price. Then, as a restaurant owner, you could actually work with these farmers and say, I'm going to pay you 100 rupees, no matter what the market price is for the whole year. I would say more than most of these farmers would actually agree to that. But unfortunately, this far-sighted visions are not working in most of the cases. So everybody is dependent on the market prices. But we in our company, we do work on 3-month and 6-month price locks for fresh produce. That is all. Again, that will be using historical prices, and we gather an average pricing out of it and use it for all procurement and selling purposes. But your question is, it's one of the biggest problem in the industry. So I would say more than 80% is market driven. There are some people, some farmers who are into contract farming with big companies where the price is locked.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Okay. If there is no more questions, we'll move to the next slide. Okay. So I'll take some time to explain how DailyGurus adopted blockchain in our journey. So our journey began in 2019, and we started our operations, and we always thought that we are a startup and we could build a piece of software, and then we were expecting our consumers to start using the software and placing the orders with us. This is a typical story for all startups when they have this thought that they can sell something and through a different medium. For example, in our case, we started selling fresh produce, and like any other company, we built our own e-commerce application and an e-commerce website. And we tried forcing our consumers to actually start using this means of placing orders, but it never worked. No matter how many times we asked them to use a piece of software, they were not ready to use it. Having said that, since we chose a market that is having a consistent demand, we did not have a problem of these customers saying no to us and then going to somebody else. But when we try to scale, that is increasing the number of buyers and trying to differentiate ourselves from other suppliers in the market, that is when we faced or even realized that looks like we are also just another one in the crowd, and agricultural produce market is already overcrowded, and we were just another drop in the ocean. So that is something we realized very late in the game. Having said that, it was not actually, pulling us down in any way. The business was running, but it was like we hit the plateau and we were not able to scale further in terms of adding more consumers to our produce. What we did after that when we realized is we did surveys and interviews with our buyers and the potential buyers. Their answers that we got mainly from our B2B customers like Subways and other chains to which we were actually supplying the fresh produce. Their most important thing that they were looking for is they needed consistent and verifiable quality in their produce. This is something that we were actually solving for them without knowing that this is one of the problems that we were solving. For us, we always thought these cafes, they needed fresh produce, and we were actually sourcing it for them from areas like the Nilgiris, Ooty, Kotagiri areas, and bringing it to Chennai. And then we did the quality checks, we packaged them and delivered it to their doorsteps. What we thought was, instead of these cafes going to the local mandi every day, we thought we are saving them time by giving them quality verified produce in their doorstep. But the actual problem we were solving was this verifiable quality in their produce, which we realized very late. Yeah? But that's a good learning for us. And then that actually paved us the way to actually start innovating from there. So we initially started as a direct-to-consumer company and then pivoted to B2B when the pandemic hit us because of the logistical problems. And then at some point, we felt very comfortable working with the B2B segment, but it was hitting the scalability problem. So we went back to the direct-to-consumer model, and we started talking to these consumers. And when we went to them and we started telling them that we are actually getting this produce from the local market. When I say local market, it should be like 10, 15 kilometers from their home. And we were seeking their support to actually help the farmers who are small and marginal in nature. When we put this narrative in front of them, the first thing they said is, this story screenplay is something everybody sells every day. Any vendor who comes to sell fruits and vegetables, they would say, hey, it is coming from the local vendor. It is coming from the local farm. And we are buying it directly from the farmers and selling it to you. There are no middlemen. But if you look at it, they would be buying it from the mandi, and the produce would be coming from some other state far, far away. So the consumer confidence in the marketing of this fresh produce, it was not working out. I would say, if 10 people are telling this story, maybe 2 or 3 of them would be true, but it's not the consumer's problem. It is the problem in the market where everybody's trying to sell using a false claim. So that is when we thought we need to actually do something to substantiate our story, give some kind of a proof to the consumer, and tell them that what we are actually putting in front of you is the truth. And that is when we thought blockchain could be the medium that could help us build this trust from this in this particular scenario. So when we spoke about this blockchain and with these urban consumers, mostly these people are educated and office-going people when we spoke to them about this, they said, yeah, that is a brilliant idea. If 10 people come to us and one or two of them have this blockchain-based proof of where his food is coming from, they said they'll definitely buy it from them and ditch the other 8 people. So that gave us, the motivation and the energy, to start working on it. So in 2023, we conceptualized this thing, and we piloted with small and marginal farmers on around Chennai, and we did a full-scale implementation of real-time produce tracking now. Since our produce is on the outskirts of Chennai, we are actually getting it from about 10 kilometers or 15 kilometers away from the center of the city. We procure it there, process and pack, and deliver it to them within like 4 to 5 hours of harvest. And all of this is embedded in the blockchain, and a QR code is embedded on the packaging that gave the confidence for all our direct-to-consumer buyers that, okay, this produce is coming from this location and it was harvested five hours ago. And it worked very well for us now. And that was the eureka moment for us. And then we were able to actually make use of the blockchain technology, which was until then, it was, a big player's game, because blockchain was used or implemented by bigger companies for tracking your coffee beans or your grains that are non-perishable in nature. But we, as a small company, we were able to do that for a perishable product with a very small life cycle. So this goes with our vision, right? We want to empower the farmers and build the trust between the farmers and the buyers using blockchain technology. So this is our journey in a nutshell on how we actually transition and why we transition to use blockchain in our solution. I'll pause here for a few minutes and then, take questions if you have. Okay, I see there is a question in the chat that says from Akanksha. The question is, which blockchain are you using? Is it public or private? How you are handling scalability issues? So the blockchain that we are currently using is called the Scale. It's SKALE, and it's a public blockchain. For the scalability issue, I have a small story for that also. So when we initially started this pilot project, we were uploading all our photos and videos to the blockchain. So that was actually, it was working fine. But upon further analysis and review by the experts, we found out that uploading a lot of media into the blockchain network directly and accessing it from there was actually causing a lot of network congestion. And what we did after that was we uploaded our documents into the local storage, and we generated a hash, and the hash was then embedded into the blockchain. This way, the scalability and the congestion issue was thwarted right from the beginning itself. I think there is much option there to improve. We can also start using an indexer service that could help us make it faster. So for our current usage, we didn't need that indexing service, but in the future, we will definitely need to use an indexing service. I hope I answered your question, Akansha.
Sir, it's the same way. I just want to know that whether you are using IPFS or some side chains, like side chains can enhance the scalability issues. So what will be the better option?
So this is not IPFS. Now there was no need to use it in IPFS. We are using it in our local storage and generating a hash out of it. Using IPFS will also be a good chain if you want to, put everything on the blockchain. We did not have such a requirement, and hence we actually stored it in our own application, because we started building our application using Google's Firebase and Flutter. And so we thought there is no need for us to actually upload that into IPFS. But having said that, putting that in IPFS will make it a complete blockchain-based solution that can definitely be, taken up when the scaling increases and the need arises. And sorry, what was your next question?
Sir, like side chain will be better, that there are so many side chains. We can upload the data on the side chain, and later after only verified data will be deployed to the blockchain. So my question is, either a side chain will be the better option or the IPF, like distributed data storage, are the best options?
When you say sidechain, you're talking about layer 2 solutions, is it?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So see, scale itself is a layer 2 solution. There is, I mean, people want the cost that is involved in actually publishing your information on layer 1 is too high. And hence, for applications through which revenue cannot be generated, such as ours, where the goal of the application is not to generate money, we are actually currently using it only for traceability. So the cost of gas fees that is applicable for us to actually, the cost that is involved in publishing information to the blockchain and even to retrieve information from the blockchain should not be prohibitive because we are not getting a value out of it. So sidechain is definitely a good idea. Even for a sidechain, if you are uploading a large amount of data, you might want to, fine tune that and see if there is an alternative way of storing, like IPFS would be a good solution. So yeah, sidechain, like you said, will be the way to go.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, any other questions? No. Okay. We'll move to the next slide, and this is where we're going to talk about our real world use case, which is the fresh produce traceability that we have implemented. We'll talk about how it works, right? So the farmers will add data about the sowing or the transplanting or harvesting or any other event information to the blockchain. All of this is directly done through our application. And then there is post-harvest operations where we do the sorting or the grading of the produce and we package it. We have our women from the same agricultural community at the farm gate level. They do all of this grading and sorting and capture this information into our application. And QR codes are generated for each batch, and provide life cycle information to the consumers. Now, when there are multiple SKUs or multiple product items that are involved, and if you want to provide traceability for each of them, and when the scale is very low for a company like ours, where let's say we have 10 different types of vegetable produce that needs to be delivered today, and the amount of packaging that we do is like around 300 packets or 500 packets of each. So the kind of records that we want to maintain in the form of QR code, it becomes a burden for operations like us, because the on-field operational users for us is the farmers themselves and the ladies who are actually doing the cleaning and grading for us. So what we did there was we improvised there, and we generate one QR code for a batch. And one batch can involve multiple different SKUs, multiple different produce in itself. So that was an optimized way of sharing information and also storing information in our case. That is something that we realized and it worked for us. So having said that, we also have a life cycle maintenance mechanism in our application that can be used to track a produce from seed sowing to harvest. But when it comes to delivery, packaging, processing, and delivery, we try to combine everything into a single QR code, because the cost of this stickering of QR code will also add to the value of the cost of the produce. So we try to club that together into a single QR code and put it on the package. Now, what we realized after implementing this solution is the B2B customers who were actually struggling with this unreliable images and information from suppliers, they actually had a very good experience. You know, the trust and reliability was very high compared to what they were actually getting from multiple suppliers through a WhatsApp messages. So the situation was slowly tilting towards our side. So it was like, okay, this quote is coming from somebody who is associated with DailyGurus, was much better for them in terms of quality and traceability, that they would pick us compared to the others. And it is slowly increasing in terms of how they're actually picking, though these people are traditionally connected with multiple other suppliers, but they are still onboarding us as one of the small vendor to them, because they want to use us as one of those secondary providers and also a backup in case their primary people default them. And that is one of the ways how the market can be captured, and it is working out well for us. And then the direct to consumer category of customers who were very skeptical on the story that we were telling, that it is coming directly from the farmers and it is from a farm location that is like 10 kilometers away from them, who were not ready to agree or even saying ours could be a fake story. They all started trusting us when they saw real-time harvest details. No, so our produce became a trustworthy branded produce for them. So both the cases, it was a win-win. Blockchain helped us solve this crucial situation here for us. It helped us increase the scalability option and also the trustability option here. Now, if you look at the impact portion of this, the income levels of the farmers increased. And this might, it might be a cringy subject, but in reality, for example, if there is a bunch of greens they were selling for 8 rupees previously, we pay them 12 rupees. Now that gives them 4 rupees per bunch. And they do sell 100 bunches, almost 100 bunches every day. That is 100 into 4, 400 rupees increased income for that particular day for a very small scale farmer. It's a very good benefit for them, and they don't have to go spend money on the transportation or even sell it to the middleman at a lower rate. And it is working out. It's a win-win situation, and everybody is getting benefited. The consumers the authenticity and the quality is established now. That is, consumers are happy. Then there is this environmental benefit that we are actually bringing in, right? We spoke about how this produce is getting wasted, damaged during your transportation. And what we have done is we are connecting your local farms. All the small and marginal farmers are actually around these urban areas. If you go, whichever city you are in, if you start traveling towards the outer circle of the city, then you will start seeing small patches of lands. These are the people who have land parcel of less than 1 acre, less than half an acre kind of patches, but they are, because of their ancestral upbringing, they are still passionate about doing agriculture. Though the land parcel is smaller, but they want to continue. They are all continuing it. If people like us and you are the urban consumers who trust this source, they continue buying it from them. So environmentally, we are connecting this. The time taken for the produce is very less. It is like that right from harvest to delivery is less than 4 hours or 5 hours. And the time taken for this transportation is less than 1 hour. Compared to the same produce, if it comes from a different district or a different state, the amount of gas or the petrol that is burned, the carbon emission, if you look at all of those, it's a definitely win-win situation for the environmental problems. I'll just pause here for a minute. I'm not able to check. Sorry. Can somebody check the chat and let me know if there is any question, please?
There is one question here in the chat that says that how with farmers with no technical knowledge can be using this system. Can you tell how farmers with no technical knowledge can use the system?
Yeah. So that is where we spend time educating these farmers. Now, from a technical knowledge perspective, it's not like they are going to use. Since it is blockchain, you might be thinking about having a wallet system like MetaMask on the browser or anything like that. But fundamentally, this is like any other application. The way it is designed is the farmer will open the application and he will select the produce that he is harvesting today. And it is all visually easy for them to pick every option. They'll select a particular produce and they'll select the quantity that they're currently harvesting and then submit it. Take a picture. The picture taking capability is embedded into the application. They don't have to do anything. They'll have to just click on an image that says capture picture, and then a picture is taken, and then there is one submit button. That's about it. It basically will take 3 clicks for these farmers to operate this kind of a system. And that is the only thing, and those are the only screens that we give them without complicating it for them.
I have a one question.
Sure.
Like everything is based on the QR code scanning. Like all the data is going through QR code only. So how you are handling the security of the QR code? Definitely it should be a tamper proof. So what kind of technology are you using for securing the QR code basically?
Yeah. I will actually show you an example of how the QR code is embedded and how it is actually connected to the blockchain and all. If there is no other question, I can move to the next slide and I'll walk you through.
Sir, meeting முடிட்டேன்.
Sorry? Did somebody say anything? All right. Oh, I see Swapnil has dropped a message. It says, what is the implementation stack? We are currently using Flutter and Firebase. And as a next step, we are actually migrating that to a SaaS platform where we are using Next.js, Express, MongoDB, and Node.js in the backend. So that is the tech stack that we are using, and the chain is Scale, blockchain is Scale. I'll show you how this Scale blockchain is, how we can access, and I'll show you how the data is published in a bit. Okay, so here comes the challenge that we spoke about. So the main challenge is educating stakeholders about the blockchain technology, whether it is the farmer who's going to use it on our behalf, or if it is the consumer who is actually looking at the QR code and all the embedded blockchain information in there. So this is something that it's not an easy or a cakewalk thing. We are still struggling, but having said that, we have still achieved a lot of traction in this area. So this is something that whoever is working on a problem statement should actually consider on how to educate the stakeholders on the blockchain technology. Yeah. And the initial setup and operational cost. This is an item that we faced. We tried initially using Polygon and Avalanche and many other blockchains where there is a lot of gas fees that is involved in publishing information. And we were trying to come up with solution that could minimize the gas fees there. And Scale, at least for now, we have got a grant, and it is subsidizing all our gas fees, and it also claims to be a zero gas fee based network. So it all worked out. So this will be your initial setup and operational cost will be mostly on your gas fees if you're doing a blockchain based system. And if you're using an IPFS system, then you will have your storage cost. For a system like us, where we are not generating revenue through it, we thought that is not needed for now. And this ensuring data accuracy across the supply chain. This is one of the questions I think somebody asked now on how that is maintained. So the information that is published to the blockchain is something that is 100% secure, and it will be available for anybody to check, and it is tamper-proof. But there are situations where the humans can actually rig the system and say, upload information that is already rigged. For example, they could take a picture of something and upload it to the blockchain. And when they are delivering, they could deliver some other produce. That can happen. And that is where we need operational gatekeeping also. That is something we are constantly doing. We have our field professionals consistently verifying and audit checking these data, and also what produce is being uploaded and sent to the system. And talking about the opportunities, we can scale to other crops and regions. So we've been working on the fresh produce, the greens and vegetables. And in the last 3 months, we have started the same system for tender coconuts, that is from the Pollachi region of Tamil Nadu. And there is also an opportunity to integrate AI for demand and supply forecasting. We have started training some models for our system, but given the amount of data that we have in terms of the orders and procurement is very small, the time taken for the AI to learn and throw out a consistent output is a struggle for us. But this is another opportunity that we have. And creating a global model for agricultural transparency. There are multiple frameworks that are currently available in the market that are global in nature, and everybody is trying to adopt it. So those are the kind of systems where whatever systems that we are building can be easily connected, and it can be, expanded for a global usage. You see, there is a report by Markets and Markets. It says the blockchain adoption in agricultural ecosystem is growing by 45% year on year. So the opportunity is there as long as you understand what problem you're trying to solve and how you're trying to solve. The one thing that I would want to highlight is don't go about building product and then, struggling to get the consumers. Talk to the consumers first, do a small proof of concept, do a trial, and then keep expanding on the product. Yeah, that could be a good way to go about it. These are key takeaways of whatever we have discussed. I think we are close to closing time now. I would like to show you the implementation stack also before we again come back to the question and answers. Let me just.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, hi.
So, how can the blockchain help farmers deal with the climate change by sharing better farming methods?
Sorry, can you come again? I didn't quite understand the question.
Okay, how can a blockchain help farmers deal with the climate change by sharing better farming methods?
Okay, the climate change, right? That is an interesting topic. There are many people who are currently working on that. What they're doing is they're trying to collect the soil conditions, the weather data, and the produce output from every region, and they're putting it in the blockchain. And the idea is for them to start using it at a global scale by collecting more and more data from everybody. And there are multiple nodes that could be deployed and information can be collected. This can be done in conjunction with using IoT systems that is directly connected to the network without allowing people to using their own data. It should come from reliable sources. If that is done, your problem of climate change can be, proven by using authenticated data, and then corrective actions can be taken. Having said that, there is also a lot of opportunity in solutions where people are deploying blockchain to verify the carbon credits that can be generated by growing plants and agroforestry, your trees and all, put them on the blockchain and see how we can get the credits. There are many institutions and organizations that certify this kind of information. That is something we are also currently working on. If anybody is interested, please reach out and we can do multiple proof of concepts on those. Yeah. I hope I answered your question.
Yes, sir.
So here you see this. This is our. This is what you see when you actually scan the QR code. So what we share here is, for example, this is the event name. The event name is Harvest. The produce is Araikirai. And the name is Kumar. And the role of this person in the system is farmer. You see, he has uploaded 2 images here. And this is the blockchain info that is embedded here. And there is a location. And there is also the date and time of when it was harvested. So if you look at the location, it will take you to the farm directly and show you where this farm is located. So yeah, so this is where the farm is. This is where the image was taken. And let me zoom out a bit, and it is in here in Chennai. It is near Chennai, okay? And we also have this blockchain information here. Now, for the authenticity seekers here, you see this is the blockchain information that we are showcasing here. Let me show you how to actually verify this, all of this. So here you will have the blockchain information that can be verified directly on the, 1 second. Let me just pick one. So whenever you launch a QR code, it is actually fetching the data from the blockchain. Once the information from the blockchain comes in and loads into the web page, then it goes to our database and get the relevant information and then load it. That was the sequence of this loading here. I just wanted to show you that. And when it comes to this blockchain information here, this can be verified in a second. So you see here, this is the blockchain ID, and this is the media that you are using. And it also has the longitude and the latitude of the farm or from where the image was taken. And you also have the time at which it was taken, the date and time here. This is the produce ID. So all of this has been hashed and uploaded to the blockchain. While this loads, so scale is what we are currently using as our chain. This scale is what we are actually using. And scale has multiple different smaller networks within them. And what we have been allocated or what best suits for our purpose is the Calypso hub within scale. If we go to the block explorer, we will be able to see our blocks there. I just loaded one of them here. So this is the transaction that will be published in the events. And this is the wallet that is connected. And all the gas fees that is needed will be picked from this wallet. This wallet is nothing but our wallet here. I can show the MetaMask. You see the S fuel here. This is the gas fees that was spent on this particular transaction, and it is very negligible. Even with this, if we are going in as a company, they are providing us with enough credits that could offset this price. Something is wrong with MetaMask. It's not opening. Very unfortunate. But let me show you the details of this transaction here. This is the Explorer on the mainnet. So initially, if you're developing something, they'll give access to the testnet. And once your smart contract and your application is proven, then you'll get access to the mainnet for the scale. So here, if you look at the information that is uploaded, it is nothing but whatever we had seen here. So let's see what is in this URL here that is uploaded to blockchain. So you see, this is the image that we have uploaded to blockchain. So this image is currently verified with date and time, and also the hash code that we had. Show you which one. So this, you see, this is the one that we actually took out from Calypso here. So this is a way for people who are more technical in nature and also want to verify the information that we are sharing with them through the QR code. They could go and verify their transactions by putting the transaction ID here and then checking what is uploaded for this transaction. So I think we are at the hour. Anybody has questions?
Sir, how many percentage increase the farmer's life?
How many percentage increase what?
Farmer's lifestyle.
Oh, so see, that is directly connected with the earnings, right? For example, if there was no middleman and their produce is directly being sold to the cafes and horecas or the restaurants, the amount of money that they are making is definitely 30 to 40% more than what they would get when they are actually selling it to the middleman. So it is definitely an increase in their income. And what we have also done is this lady here, you see, this lady is one of the family members of these farmers, and they do the cleaning of these greens for us and packaging of these greens for us. So these ladies, they cannot work in the farms for a long hours, and they don't have a consistent income. But since we are currently working with quick commerce companies like Zepto and Swiggy, it is a daily operation for us. And these ladies, they're making very good income, close to 8,000 or 10,000 per month, just by cleaning these greens for us. So you can think about how their quality is increased, right? Because of our involvement and because of blockchain here. I hope that answers your question.
Okay.
Yeah, so there is no direct connection here, but this woman who was not making any income previously, now they are earning more than 8,000, 10,000 per month. And the farmers are also making 30 to 40% more on their produce.
Okay. A lot of struggle in farmers. So I want this question.
Yes. So that is where people like us who have access to the technology and the brain power will have to come together and come up with solutions like this that could help or enhance their, lives.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
I hope all of you will have some kind of knowledge to take back and maybe work on it and come up with good pilot projects or proof of concepts. Feel free to reach out to me or anybody from Daily Gurus team, and we can definitely work on proof of concepts related to agriculture. Even if it is not related to agriculture, we can help you connect with some of our network who could help you, in expanding or creating any solutions that you want to do.
Yeah, one of the participant had raised his hand, Sudhakar, right? I couldn't read the complete name. So if Sudhakar is there, you could raise your question.
That was mistakenly done. Sorry.
There are also some couple of questions in our YouTube chat. So one is about from Arul Selvam, who has asked, how does fair pricing work?
Sorry, did you say fair pricing?
Yeah, that's what he has asked. How does fair pricing work?
Okay. I mean, if it is regarding the agricultural produce, I could say the parity is, let's say, the market price is 100 rupees and the middleman buys it from the farmer at 60 rupees or 70 rupees, because they don't have the kind of logistics to pull together and then take it to the next level. So this pricing mechanism is skewed because a lot of middlemen are here. And if the middlemen are eliminated, the fair pricing mechanism will be implemented. It will become a reality. So when let's say, for example, a restaurant owner is looking at information that is verified through blockchain, and he sees an image of harvesting of tomatoes or brinjals, and he says the product is good, then they can actually buy it, closing their eyes, because they know the produce is backed by some kind of a proof mechanism. So from a pricing wise, it is always market driven. Like I said previously, it is market driven. There is small percentage of people who actually use contract farming, and that is where the pricing can be locked. So fair pricing could mean a lot of things to a lot of people. I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, there is another question on from Sumit Kumar, who has asked, can we do academic research in this area, in specific as a PhD in this area?
Yes, yes. Yeah, I would actually, urge anybody who is into this domain to do research on how it is actually affecting the whole ecosystem, especially when it comes to the logistics and the verification and the traceability. When with the produce hops multiple hands, what are the different types of trust issues that will come out, and how it can be optimized is a huge area of research, if you ask me. And also how, like our case study, how we are actually helping the rural women and the farmers. That is also another case study that you could pick. There is a lot of information to gather and research and work on.
Yeah, thank you. So another question is from Viresh Patel, who has asked, is it worth learning Web3 considering the technical dynamics?
Technology is, I would say, 25% of the solution. Learning Web3 is definitely needed if you want to get into this blockchain area. Having said that, given the current situation of AI-based development that is happening, you might not even have to learn blockchain or the programming languages or even Solidity for that matter. If you could know how to use ChatGPT to create the code, that will be good enough. But writing code is just a very small portion of it. You need to find the real use case and find the paying customers for that. So train yourself with the basics. Once you are good and strong with the fundamentals, then you don't have to spend a lot of time on learning the programming, in my opinion. But if you have the logical reasoning capability, if you are algorithmically ready to build solutions, then that will be a good way to actually look at it, instead of looking at a specific programming language.
Yeah, thank you. So before we take up another question from the chat, just a couple of announcements for the audience here. So we have already shared the Google form where we will be able to, by filling the form, we'll be able to issue you the blockchain-enabled participation certificate. So please fill the form as soon as possible. So the next question that we found in the chat was from Manish Madhusudanan, who has asked that, is there any IoT device used in this project?
Yeah, so so far we have not used an IoT device, but we are currently in discussion with multiple companies. Initially, we thought we could use our own IoT device, but then that doesn't, it is not pocket friendly. So we are working with multiple IoT service providers at this point. Basically, they will have tools that could actually check the soil chemical composition and also the water moisture levels. We are currently working on that. So such IoT devices can be connected to our farming app and connected to the farms. That will help us, guide the farmers better in terms of crop planning and also to shield them from seasonal problems. So IoT devices in our pipeline, Manish.
So any more questions from the participants here? You can unmute yourself or place your questions in the chat if you're finding any difficulty in unmuting.
I have one question.
Sure. Go ahead, please.
From a founder view, you have like a different maintenance cost and infrastructure requirements and all right. So, do you think that this transformation is really have a potential growth while using
Yes,
this Web3 platform?
correct. So it should be part of the cost of running your business, right? It should be part of your operation cost. Now, if you look at the real world scenario, right? If we go there and place our produce on the table, and to the side there is some other person's produce, and if we are providing a blockchain-based traceability for our produce, then there is high probability that a consumer will pick our produce compared to the other people. So I would say it is definitely a worthy cost that you can add to your system. Imagine this like running your e-commerce application, right? Then it will be the same cost of running your blockchain-based system. So in our current system, we are using Flutter and Firebase. So the amount or the money that we are spending is very negligible. Only when we go to a SaaS-based solution is when we might incur server cost. But the whole purpose of having a SaaS application is your subscribers are supposed to pay for the service and it will offset the cost of the servers. So it depends on how you look at this solution and the problem. I hope I answered your question.
Yes, sir.
Any more questions? So I
Hello,
think we
sir.
can, yeah, please go ahead.
Sir, how the end users are the earnings and all giving, like it is in crypto in or
Sorry, your voice was breaking.
how the consumers are getting the earnings? Is it in crypto or
Okay, so see, like I said, this there is no tokens involved in this process. Since it is only about verification process, we are only talking about the data immutability and the public data concept here. There is no token that is involved. There is no finance involved. There is no DeFi concept involved here. So is that, I hope that answered your question. No?
yes, sir.
Is that or did I understand the question correctly?
Yes, sir. Like how doubt like how the farmers getting the earnings and all. So that's why I asked.
Yeah. So for farmers, it is, for example, if they are selling it for 10 rupees to the middleman, we will pay them 12 rupees or 13 rupees. So that is a 30% increase for them in terms of earnings. That's how we need to look at it.
So if there are no more questions, then we'll wrap this session. Thank you so much, Gnanashekaran, for joining with us. Thank you so much for your time and your valuable information and insights on the way we can empower one of the most marginalized communities and uplift them from their from what they are doing. One also we have to thank we all take this opportunity to thank Rajesh from Daily Gurus for arranging this session for us. So thank you once again, and we look forward for future collaborations and also seek your deep expertise in all further events to come. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Nilima. And also, please feel free to, recommend your students if they want to do any blockchain-based projects. We have our ecosystem partners and also our own experience here. So we could use some of your interns if they want to, test their solutions.
Sure, we
Thank
will be.
you. That would be a value
Okay.
addition to us.
Thank you. Thanks, Ari.
Thank you.
Okay, all right. Then thank you all for the opportunity. Me signing off now. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. Bye-bye.